Hello. I thought I would share some supplies that just came into the studio with you today. I just got these new white gel pens. This is a brand that I haven't used yet, and I am still on the hunt for a white gel pen that I like. So far, the Unisignable is the one that I prefer out of the ones that I have. We're going to see if I like that one better. So I'm going to be trying those out, possibly not happening today. But these did come in, so I just wanted to share. And then I got some Stedler pigment liners, and this little set I love came with this little hard plastic case. It was 4 pigment liners with 2 free, so 6 liners. And I love the case. It clicks open, and you can like fold that back and just have it sitting upright like that on your desk. It has the size of the nibs right there for you. So if you just set that on your desk, it would face you. You can see exactly what size liner you want. I like the variety in this pack. So we got those. Again, if I don't use these today, I will be testing them out in a video soon. Love that pack. Love the packaging on these. And these, I am going to get into what these are later. I'm going to put those aside for now. Stay tuned. I will share what these are and how I will be using them. And then this came. Now, all of these supplies I did purchase myself. I, as you know, if you've watched the channel, recently gotten all of the Daniel Smith gouache in. And my friend Lindsay over on the Frugal Crafter channel, she had compared the Himi Gouache to the Daniel Smith, and she had given me, we did a gouache exchange. I gave her the rest of the colors she was missing in the Daniel Smith that I had purchased, and she had given me a much larger, like a 50 something set of the gouache. And I wanted to get a smaller set. These are only 24 colors. I did not need another 50 something colors of them, but I really like this set because of the items that came with it. And I wanted to kind of do a little comparison for myself. You know, when we get like professional grade art supplies and they cost us more and we start to treat them a little precious, right? Like I don't want to just start using gouache and be practicing with Daniel Smith, and am I going to use it all up, and am I going to feel upset if, you know, pieces don't come out so great because I spent so much money on them? We need to just use our supplies. But I wanted to test this out to see how it is fresh when I open the cups and they're brand new. Of course, the one that Lindsay gave me, I've showed it before on my channel. I had to like reconstitute some of the colors because they were starting to dry, because it was an older set. They had sent her a new set and she happily shared her older set with me. But let's look at what comes in this set. So first you get, are these not the cutest little things? Those are going to glare because they have plastic on them. There we go. So these, they look like little cactuses. And you can, it's a novelty. I don't know how much I would actually use this. They're supposed to open. I don't see how the bottom's opening, but you're supposed to be able to fill these with water. And it is pleated in there. Like this should come apart. There we go. It does. And sorry for all the noise. You're supposed to be able to put water in those. It would hold a brush and you could rinse in them. I am not going to use these. I think this is really flimsy, and knowing me, I would knock it over and spill water everywhere. But how cute are those? Just setting those aside. All right. You got 2, they say, sketching panels. One is square, and this one is, let's see, almost 10 inches. It's 25 centimeters by 25 centimeters. So almost 10 by 10. And then a round, which again, looks like it's going to be a 10-inch diameter. Yep. So a 10-inch diameter round. These are like a hard board. So I look forward to giving those a try at some point. I'm not going to use them today. I just want to really show you the gouache, and I have a quick, fun project in mind to do. So I'm going to save these for a later time when I dive deeper into the gouache and, you know, do a larger painting in a separate video. So in addition to the boards, in addition to the little cactus water holders, you get an eraser. Oh, look at the cute little designs on these. You have an HB and a 2B pencil. See the little designs on those? It's like a cat and a deer. So we have 2 pencils, our eraser, 3 brushes. You can see the brushes there. So we have a flat, a filbert, and a round. A palette knife. Now this is different shape. I actually appreciate this shape better. It showed I have it linked in the description below. So it showed in the description that this was going to be like a rounded palette knife. But I think that the pointed knife, you know, I have a few that are this shape, but I think that the pointed knife is going to really help, you know, get into, if you were taking gouache out of those cups, once they get down, you know, to the bottom or to near the end of your gouache. So I like that shape even better than the one that was advertised in the images on Amazon. But just so you know, I guess it is possible that you could get an alternate shaped knife. Again, I have this set linked in the description below. Now, in addition, because I have palette knives, I have brushes, I have pencils. What really drew me to this set were the art boards that you were going to get with it. This, I believe, yes. You got this big old pouch for refill of your white gouache. You're going to go through the white a lot if you're mixing or trying to lighten colors or whatever. And I think you'll use up the potential to use up the white faster than the other colors. So I love that they included a refill. And look how large that is, 100 ml. 100 ml package of that white gouache. So I am really excited. This was definitely one of the things that drew me. And then this was the other. And all right, that feels a little, I don't know if it leaked or what it is. This is, you see the wetness? It is wet. Let me grab a paper towel. Get that all dried off. Now that wasn't wet in the rest of the packaging. That was loose. The lid was loose. I didn't have to hardly move that at all for it to turn. Yeah, you can see that it was a little wet. But this here, what this is a mold prevention spray that you can spray on your gouache. So if you're worried about your gouache getting moldy, this came with it. So I thought, you know, I've never had gouache actually mold or anything on me before. But, you know, I usually use distilled water for rinsing and such when I'm working with my gouache so that I'm not, you know, putting contaminants into or anything that might be in the water from like the tap. This is really wet. I'll have to, it doesn't feel like a ton leaked out, maybe a little. Obviously a little did, but it's still pretty full. So not too bad. Not enough that I think I would contact them about. So yeah, I was very excited that you got the spray. Let me just get this right into the trash because it's going to be all wet also. And then the actual gouache itself. And I love the little mint green color of the case. And it comes with a white mixing palette, which I liked. I've seen some that, you know, they match the whatever the color the case is. Of course, you could mix in here, but then that's green. Gouache is opaque, so is it going to matter? I don't know. I like to work on white, or if I'm using acrylics, gray palettes for mixing my colors. And that just nests. That nests perfectly right in the lid. So, oh, I like that. And here's our palette. And then I guess I got lucky and got there was a set of the 3 brushes in my palette or my box of gouache, and I also had the 3 in my kit. So will you get 6 brushes? I don't know. I was only expecting to get 3, so there's a bonus. I won't be so worried if I get a little aggressive with a brush. But look at these colors. Actually, you know what? I'm going... yes, I'm going to do this. Are you ready? Let's just show you these colors. There you go. So there are the colors that you get in this palette. I'm going to get these open. I am not going to subject you to all of that time of peeling these off. So I'm going to get these open, and then we will be right back. It'll be a little bit for me, but only a moment for you. And we were going to create something with these. Thought I would take a moment and just show you how I'm going about swatching. So I've arranged all of my colors in an order that makes sense to me. You can certainly arrange them however you'd like. And then I am just, and of course the one that I picked to share with you doesn't want to open. So the way that I am doing my swatches is I'm just peeling the lids off, dropping that in there, and then I'm taking my palette knife and I'm taking up some of that paint, sort of setting that there. And I'm cleaning these, cleaning these off and placing that in, back in the cup. And then do that. And I've just kind of been putting them like back to back. So because they still, there's paint on there and they'll make a mess. And then I'm just taking that paint and making my swatch. And some of them, like with watercolors, are more opaque than others. And just evenly spreading that color around. And that's how I've been doing my swatches so far. So I'm going to carry on. And as soon as I am done, I'll be back with you and we'll create something with these. Here's your range of colors. You can see in a couple of these. When I opened the cups, there was, the white has it too, a little bit of separation. I just need to mix those, you know, up and reincorporate all of that, the binder. A little bit of separation with the binder. All in all, not bad. I like the colors. I tested a couple of these. There were a few that I looked at, like the pale purple and the sky blue, this purple, even the nude, because I was wondering if I could mix those colors from other colors that were on the palette. And the reason that I was questioning that is because I want to take this palette, which came with my water well that I have here, And I want to put 16 of these colors in here to take with me and be able to, when I go plein air painting. And this has the seal. It has the silicone seal, and you have a little mixing area here. So this should keep them from drying out. Possibly even better than this, because one thing I did notice is that this packaging, there isn't like a silicone gasket in the lid. So how well does that keep them from drying out? I am not sure. But I will link to this little palette and water well in the description below. But yeah, I don't feel, no, there's no gasket in there that would, make it airtight, if you would. I don't know that it just clipping down does the job just fine. I'm not sure, because obviously we've just opened these, so only time is going to tell. But some of the colors were, I would say, semi-opaque. There's your colors all swatched out. I did go back over the white on this side with a second layer, and it became, even more opaque once I had the second layer on. You just see a little bit of that black line through right there. But once I put this second coat, that seemed to cover up most of my line. There are quite a few that are completely opaque. You can't see that black line at all. And so I did a little mixing to test, and let me just slide this up so I can show you. So here I tested for they're saying purple. It looks like a light pink to me, but this color here, I just mixed the rose and white, and that's what I got. Those are pretty close. If I have to get rid of, because there's 24 colors here, and I can only take 16 colors here. So I have to reduce it by 8 colors that I'm going to decide to put in this palette to take with me. So I was just kind of trying to mix and see which ones, like the pale purple, that was violet and white mixed together, gave me this. And where I have that extra pouch of white paint, I'm not worried about using extra white to make these colors. I understand why they might put these in here as a convenience so that you're not using up your white trying to mix up these colors. So I don't think that those were wasted in the actual palette. But this is definitely a color. This will definitely be a color that I would not add to here, because I can mix those if I needed that color in the field. Sky blue. Right here, if I add just a little more white, I think I'll be there. And that was mixing the ultramarine and white to get that. This one here, the orange, I just mixed the ponceau with the ponceau and yellow and a touch of white, I believe. And I ended up with almost exactly the same as the orange. Good enough that if I was plein air painting, it would be fine. I haven't tried to see if I can combine. I tried the ochre with a little lemon yellow and white here to see if I could get that earth yellow. It did not work. This turned out like a really pinkish shade. This one that says ochre looks more like a PR 101, like an Indian red. That's what I think of when I look at that color. And this, I think more like a yellow ochre, but it says earth yellow. So medium yellow and orange. I don't think I need both of those. And in fact, I'd almost question the need, because these are so similar, I almost question the need for the medium yellow. Not 100% positive there. I'll have to mix with this some more and play with it. I did not see if I could mix any of these greens yet. That's on my list to do, to see if I can eliminate one of these greens by mixing yellow in one of my blues. So that I still need to test out. But I'm not dealing with that today. That'll be another time. If you're interested in seeing a video of how I eliminate and come up with the 16 colors that make it to this palette, drop me a comment below and let me know. and I can certainly do a video on that. But all in all, I think it's a nice, well-rounded palette of gouache. I'm really looking forward to giving this a try. Let me just grab my Daniel Smith swatch, and we can kind of compare the two different palettes, because again, this is 24 colors. Daniel Smith has 22. Let's see how they compare to each other as far as the overall palette. Slide this one up here. Now here's my Daniel Smith. So they had 22 colors. Turn that around. I'm going to pull my swatch out of the bottom. Okay. You guys can't really see those last few colors there. There we go. All right. So here is my swatch. The lemon yellow is very much like the Hansa Yellow Light. The Hansa Yellow Deep really kind of lines up with the medium yellow. My Pyrrole Orange, actually my Pyrrole Scarlet looks really close to the Ponceau. And then Rose definitely looks like Quin Magenta. The Pale Purple and Wisteria are very similar. I would say that the Wisteria is just a touch warmer than the Pale Purple. Lavender and Sky Blue are a little off, but they're close. And then here's Cobalt Blue and Cobalt Blue. Ultramarine. And you can see here, so the lines that are all the way to the left, that is its mass tone straight from the tube. And even with the Daniel Smith, there are some colors that are still semi-opaque. Same as these. Like if I look back here at the Ponceau, you can see that line there. And if I look at my Pyrrole Scarlet, it's slightly, so this is a little bit more opaque than this one is. Pale green looks very much like the permanent green. Grass green is similar to spring green, but I would say spring green's a little warmer. Jade green and Cascade green, not quite the same. Maybe if I muted this down slightly, I could come close to that. We have the Umber. Those look very similar. Of course, they both have black. So here's the Indian Red and the Ochre, or actually Daniel Smith's Burnt Sienna. Their Burnt Sienna and the Ochre look very much alike. And the Raw Sienna and Earth Yellow, actually this Yellow Ochre is the closest match to that. So there are a lot of similar colors between these two sets. This has nude, this has a buff titanium. It does have titanium white, that was there. Of course, that has the titanium white. Let me know what you think as far as the comparison between these two sets. Quite a few of the colors are similar between the two. Looking at the swatches, the Daniel Smith in its mass tone, now these are all mass tone. With the Daniel Smith, I did its mass tone and then with a little bit of water and with a little bit of extra water. And that's what these three lines are. But looking at these overall, the Daniel Smith colors are a bit more vibrant, but I'd expect them to be, right? These are professional grade paint. I am sure, especially with the price point, there's a lot more of the pigment in here versus here. But if you want a similar set, this 24 set, which gives you a couple extra colors, here with the Daniel Smith, like I have more yellow. The red's pretty similar. And then same with the blues. So only you know what's best for your budget and your needs. But comparing the two of those, these have some similarities in their color choices. So I definitely think that if you're just starting and you don't use gouache yet and you're wondering, am I going to like it? Well, for the cost of 3 tubes, you can get into a set like this with 24. You know what I mean? So it might be slightly more than 3 tubes, but it's not quite 4. And again, the link is in the description, and I will put a link so that you can check out both the Daniel Smith gouache and the Himi and compare for yourself. I'm going to go ahead and put this away. Wanted to compare the two of those in case anybody was wondering. I think this is a great palette. I think it's wonderful color choices, and I'm happy. I'm definitely happy with them. I think what I'm going to do is grab my paper I attached to this board, and you see I already have it taped off. And this board, which is a hard board, is just one of these, the chalkboard that I grabbed from the Dollar Tree. But they are hard. It is 8 by 11. So I figured it would allow me to attach my 9 by 6 sheets a lot easier, and they wouldn't be as flexible as these cutting mats that you've seen me use regularly on the channel. So I just grabbed a couple of these to try it out. So now let's talk about this other item that I showed you in the beginning. These are laminating pockets for 2-inch by 6-inch bookmarks. And I already have the laminating machine. So I thought, you know what? I'm going to get these. It came in a whole big box. This is only one section. I think there was like 5 of these in the one box. Tons of bookmarks. I will never need bookmark lamination probably ever again. Who knows? Maybe I will. Maybe I'll sell them and it'll be a great thing to have. But yeah, that's what I got these for. So I want to paint my bookmarks, and then I am going to go ahead, cut them apart, and I will laminate one of them and be able to share that with you. All right, I'm not quite sure what I'm going to paint on these first, but I did tape them all out. And what I did was from the edge of the paper, every 2 inches, I put a mark, because I know that within the 2 inches, like each bookmark has to be no more than 2 inches. And I wanted each one to have a border. So you see my tape again. One of the reasons I prefer this tape versus like the black tape, I can see through it. And this is an acid-free artist tape. I just shared that with you recently. So this here, and I can link that in the description below. This, from the edge to the center of this piece of tape, is 2 inches. So because I went halfway, I will have the same border all the way around my bookmark. But now let's paint some fun bookmarks with gouache. Want to lighten that up just a little. Just going to mix right on my paper. Bring that down. And start to transition. We're painting a sunset. I have a towel beside me, and after I wash my brush, I'm just taking it and, you know, dabbing the wetness off. This medium yellow was so full. That one and the orange, they were so full I could hardly get the lids off. Like some of these you see extra space. That one, this one were very, very full cups. I'm just going to continue blending those colors as I go. Switch up my brush here in a moment. You can see that the gouache definitely stains your brush. As with most white bristled brushes, that can happen. Just taking a clean brush that I tapped off and blending where these two meet so that I don't have a hard line. There's my little bookmark. I just need one sleeve. And they open like so. And these are rounded corners, so if I wanted to, I could also round the corners of my bookmark. So I'm going to do that real quick. Once the corners are rounded, I have a little nipper that does the corners. I just don't know where it is at the moment. So see, it kind of looks frosted on both sides. But you take your bookmark and you place it in there. Now I'm going to go pass this through my laminator. And there you have it. There's one more look at our color palette, all swatched out. Here is my bookmark that has been laminated. And you can see the texture because, of course, it was watercolor paper. I was using the Bee-inspired watercolor paper. I will make sure I link to that in the description below as well. What do you guys think? There's my bookmark. That's my little painting. My first impression, I like this color palette. I can't wait to dive in and use it some more. Drop me a comment below. Do you have this set? Do you like it? Does this look like something that might interest you? All the links are in the video description below. Thanks for spending your time with me once again. I'm going to pop another video up right here that you might like to watch next. And until next time, keep creating, and I'll see you in a video real soon. Bye.